Bad to the bone.
Be so bad.
The carbonated water is where it's at.
That's where it's always at. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Tilted Pod. I'm your host, Seth. Don't call me Jack Wilds. And I'm sitting here with the daywalker himself, Nathan Morris. How are you doing, buddy?
Howdy ho.
Pro Tour happened.
It was crazy.
This happened. It's over. We don't know what to do. As we do, we know it all came down to ruins. It all came down to red ruins. We're definitely going to talk about that. You know what, though, I want to talk about? I want to talk about how pumped that song gets me.
I'm amped.
Little intro music, dude. I get stoked.
I'm about to bench press a Buick.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that with you. We'll do it together. So this week on Tilted Pod, we are going to talk about what we played, what we've been doing over the past week. We are going to get a little bit of news, some of the promos that came out, and then we're just going to break down the Pro Tour and what happened. Probably not going to get too much in any other formats. We're just going to talk, Pro Tour. We'll give you a wrap-up of that, even though I'm sure everyone's tired of it at this point. And then we're going to end the episode with an announcement on who won that Chandra Torch of Defiance. No, actually, was it a Torch of Defiance? We were giving away...
Torch of Defiance.
Oh, are you sure? Should we give away a different one?
Yeah,
no,
there's better ones, right?
Yeah, I think there's better ones. Okay. Anyways, this week, Nate, go. What did you do?
Well, I finally broke down, and now I am officially on the MTGO roster on Standard, playing Blue-Red Control. It's great. I can honestly say that going from X-Mage to MTGO was a very difficult transition. I lost a few games because I don't know how to put stops down.
It's important. It's important to do that,
a little bit. Yep. Countering stuff's real easy, but it's when you want to do stuff at, in step and upkeep that really gets you if you don't stop there and they go right to the main phase.
Draw step. Got to remember.
The deck I played was good. I felt comfortable with it. It was a good control deck.
You said you are control, right?
Yeah.
Do you have kind of a rundown of a list for us? Are you playing 4 Torrential Gearhulks?
Yeah, I got the 4 Gearhulks. I am playing the 1 Nicol Bolas. I think that
you love that card.
I do love Nicol Bolas. A lot of those blue-red control decks right now are playing the one of Nicol Bolas, so I guess you can call it Grixis, but it's the only black card. I don't even have the black cards in the sideboard to warrant the black, so it's just red. Nicol Bolas is literally it. Hieroglyphic Illumination has been great. Glimmer of Genius has been great. I am up to 4 Kozilek's returns. I did go ahead and bump that up main board in expectation that I would see a lot of mono red. That card's been great, and when it's not great, it's super bad.
So you're running 4 Kozilek's returns, but what about Sweltering Suns or anything like that?
I'm not running any Sweltering Suns.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Hour of Devastation, 2 or 3?
2 Hour of Devastations. I mean, the card's just so good that you can't really get away from it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the reason to play the deck.
Yeah,
or one of the reasons.
It's a big reason to play the deck.
Obviously, Torrential Gearhulk Glimmer is a huge
reason to play it. I'm on the 3 of Braid plan. I think that's better. I've seen some decks with 1 and 2.
Do you run main deck Negate?
I do run main deck Negate.
And so Negate over Essence Scatter, or just both? A 1-1 or a 2-1?
I'm at a 2-1. 2 Essence Scatter, 1 Negate.
Okay, cool.
And I think that's worked out pretty well for me. I don't know if I'd change it. If I did, it might be the Negate going to the sideboard, and then it'd just be all of the Negates coming from the sideboard, because I have 2 in the side, I think. I do run 2 Pull from Tomorrows.
Oh, you run the extra Pull from Tomorrow.
Yeah, I did, and that's
because you're addicted to Sphinx's Revelation.
I love Sphinx's Revelation.
You just want to draw cards all day.
It feels so good when you draw 8 and discard 1.
I feel like this deck does nothing but draw cards, though. It's it's trying to do is get to turn 4, then get to turn 6, and then on turn 7 cast a Pull from Tomorrow.
Yeah,
it just seems so weird. So many 2-mana removal spells or counters. It taps out. It doesn't really tap out that often, right? It just Hour of Devastation, pretty much.
Yeah, it's Hour of Devastation.
I guess Hour of Devastation, and you're not running Sweltering Suns, but in its place, you'd be running instant. So
Yeah.
you don't tap out that much, huh? It's kind of like blue-red flash.
Yeah, it's Nicol Bolas and Hour of Devastation, and everything else really comes on their turn, which is fine. I've liked it well enough so far. I've gotten rolled by a couple things. Black-green has really got me sometimes when the stuff gets too big for me to really handle, when it's out of Harness Lightning, a Braid, and stuff like
Snake.
that.
Yeah, you gotta kill that snake right away.
Yeah, if you can't kill the snake right away, you're in a lot of trouble. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes the negate's bad, when you're looking at the negate and they're, resolving something that you're really like, man, I wish I had an Essence Scatter.
So we've been talking about it on the last few podcasts, but Supreme Will, what do you feel about this card in the deck? Does it feel really good, or does it feel...
It feels really good to moderately good almost 100% of the time.
Cool. Yeah, are you playing how many?
4.
Oh, you're playing full 4.
Yeah.
Oh, tight. Yeah, it's a card that I think is like... It just has to be one of the reasons I would want to play the deck, because you have so many weird 2-offs and things like that. I mean, I'm looking here. It looks like in the Pro Tour, and we're going to get more into the Pro Tour later, but obviously Tomohiro Saito was playing a control deck, and he was playing blue-red control, and he's cut down to only 2 Supreme Wills. But he's running 2 Sweltering Suns, 2 Hour of Devastations. They're all running like a full set of Glimmers, and then like 2 to 3 Hieroglyphic Illuminations. It's crazy how many of those draw 2s that this deck is running.
Yeah.
But he is not running Pull from Tomorrow. How's Censor been? I feel like this is a deck that really utilizes Censor.
I have actually cast Censor more times than I've cycled it.
Yeah.
Which I thought the complete opposite of when I was building the deck. I thought it was really just, if you got it, cool, and if you don't, well, you cycle it. And I thought you'd be cycling the card more often than not. But honestly, it's been so good in that early game, and even sometimes in the mid game where they're trying to resolve something big, and that 1 mana kills them.
Yeah, I like the card. I think it's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet card. All right, man, that's pretty awesome. So you've just been playing with that. Did you enter a league, or you just been playing for free online at first, or are you just trying to get your wits about you on that MTGO?
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of free games, just trying to get my bearings. I think this week I'm going to try and stream a league, which we'll be posting somewhere for you guys to watch. Hopefully I can do well. I've done pretty well so far. I think I'm like 3-5, which is good in my standards, because I think 2 of those games I honestly could have won if I just would have been able to use the mechanics of the system better.
Well, I'll play 2 kind of white-blue decks against you. I don't even know. What's your handle for all the people?
Oh, Start X Riot.
What is that?
Start X Riot.
Start X Riot?
Yeah.
Tight.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, we also have the Tilted Pod account where you can find us on MTGO, and I'm Jack Wilds on there if you guys want to friend us or add us to play some games. I'm pretty awful, but we like to play. But we could now stream some games together where we get a sided talking from both sides and little double angle penetration games. That sounds...
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about. That sounds weird.
The DP games.
The DP games, man.
We better get off this.
We got to get off this. Okay,
Yeah.
So what did I do this week in Magic? I did not play F&M because I had a show.
How'd your show go?
This Friday. The show was tight. We opened for Fastball, and I talked Magic to them, and they didn't like it very much. So, I guess I was nerding out too hard. But we rocked their faces off, and then I watched some Pro Tour. That's what I did. But I did play a little MTGO as well. I'm recording a series at a league right now with Amulet Titan, and I'm trying some of the changes with Grove of the Burn Willows, Relic of Progenitus, so on. I think those are the main ones, and then Dismember in the sideboard. Dismember in the sideboard, I don't know why I've never done that before. It seems like a really good card just to have. There's certain problematic permanents, creatures that could be on the board that you just kill it. Gurmag Anglers and things like that. I can't sweep up with my Engineered Explosives, and it's sometimes you just got to be like, all right, you cast that on turn 2. I got to just kill that somehow.
Right.
Or my clock is so small, Other than that, I don't know why I didn't do that. I'm like, I'm so far, like, I feel pretty good about the Relic of Progenitus in the main. Mm-hmm. I'm not in love with it though. And the one card that I'm the most like on is I'm not huge on Courser of Crewfix over the card engine that is Tireless Tracker. I just think Tireless Tracker is such a good beatdown card. I get that it's kind of card advantage if you have that land on top and you're running 27 lands main, sometimes 28. But Tireless Tracker is also a card advantage engine where when you're playing Bounce Lands and Azusa, and I don't need the double green, and sometimes, I mean, it's not hard to get double green, but sometimes you have to play your lands in such an order that just having one green might be what you're hitting on turn 4, and then trying to double land or snapping it like the Sakura Tribe Scout or whatever to bounce in lands. And with an amulet out, then you're drawing a card each time it comes in and putting a counter on him because it untaps, bounces itself, draw the card with a 2 mana. He's just really good to me.
Yeah.
The life gain, I guess, is important, but I don't know. I'm just not that worried about losing it because the life gain that I get with, why can't I think of the name of the card? Gain 2 life when it comes Radiant Fountain, is already pretty relevant. And sometimes I feel like Burn has a hard time dealing with my deck. I don't know, man. What do you think about those changes? You've seen me play the deck in a lot of variations, and I don't know. What do you think about those changes?
I've seen you beat me so hard with a Tireless Tracker that I kind of wanted to cry. And I also understand the value of a Courser of Crewfix when you're churning through your deck trying to look for what you need.
Right.
So I think the Courser is more about getting the cards out of your deck rather than the life gain. The life gain is probably real good against Burn and stuff, but I mean, you still have the Radiant Fountains and everything like that. But I think where Tireless Tracker kind of is slow to draw the cards, Courser can do it immediately.
Yeah.
And so I think that Courser is probably a better turn 3 play, and Tireless Tracker is probably a better turn 7 play.
I feel like they're both honestly really good turn 4 plays.
That too.
I want to get that card advantage off of either one of them. Yeah. I'm never going to play Tireless Tracker on 3, just
with
because.
No value?
Because I'm just not going to do it. In that deck, he accrues so much value. Same thing with Courser of Crewfix. I don't think I'd ever cast him on 3 unless I'm just getting beat down. I guess in both situations. Now he does become a very good wall. Stops Goblin Guide, stops all that stuff, and draws me extra cards that way. But I just never want to cast that card on 3.
Right.
I want something out of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to just give them information about the top of my deck and not even get to play the land.
And then they go fetch land push, and then you don't have anything.
And this might be something kind of dumb. I don't know for sure, but it's an enchantment creature as well. And when playing against Tarmogoyf, a fast Tarmogoyf with some hand disruption can kind of screw me over every once in a while. If my deck is not operating like full tilt.
Right.
So having that means I've got artifacts, lands that are going to the graveyard, enchantments, instant sorceries, and creatures that are all easily removed. And I don't know if I want to add another source of power for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I mean, Inquisition Thoughtseize. I mean, if they do that turn 1 and get your
say they hit my
Crewfix,
say they Inquisition me, hit my amulet, and they their turn 1 is Inquisition, hit my amulet off of fetch land. There's already 3. Turn 2, whatever, fetch land or whatever, play your Tarmogoyf. Then their turn 3, even if I get a chance to play it, or they just Inquisition or Thoughtseize another one, or they Fatal Push it off of another fetch land, that's already 5/6. Yeah.
Yeah, 5/6
Tarmogoyf. And they're swinging with a 5/6 on turn 3, which puts my clock. It's really fast. It's the same problem that kind of comes with Gurmag Angler, but I can't even dismember it post board. So I almost want to take it out anytime I'm playing against Tarmogoyf, even though I only run 1. It's just a weird. I don't know. It's in my brain. I'm like, man, I'm gonna play this. It's gonna die, and it's just gonna help them beat me up longer. I guess now I do play with Relic of Progenitus, and I play main deck Bajuka Bog, so I'm trying to constantly mitigate that with those cards.
Right.
But in my brain, it always feels bad. It always feels bad when you get that enchantment in there.
It does feel bad. I know all about that.
Yeah, it's frustrating. So, I will talk about one game I played in particular before we break down on the news. Actually, so far in my league that I'm recording, I'll put it out there. We'll probably put it on YouTube, which, by the way, that is news. We just got a YouTube channel. It's called Tilted Play. We're going to put our podcasts up on there as well, so you'll be able to listen to them there, as well as the MTG Cast Network. Pretty soon we will be on iTunes as well, where you can subscribe to us individually. Because I just realized that if you subscribe to the MTG Network, you get everything on iTunes, which is fine because I've found actually a few new podcasts that I really like from fellow MTG Cast Network members. And that's been pretty cool. But if you don't want that much downloading into your iPhone constantly or whatever you're using, then we'll have our own individual one soon. But yeah, check out our YouTube, Tilted Play, or just search Tilted Pod and it'll bring you right to our channel. But anyways, I'll probably just put that game up. I won't even explain it, but I will say this. Jund, don't play Magus of the Moon. What are you doing? What are you doing, Jund? Why are you doing that? Huh?
It seems bad when you think about it.
See,
for both parties.
They, why? Why are they playing that?
Gotta get you.
I mean, I guess, but why not just play Blood Moon? They just want the beats?
I mean, you gotta have the beats too, right? Because they don't have any red creatures, right? Except for like the Singleton Grim Lavamancer. And we're talking about traditional Jund, so it's gotta just be they have to have something to kill you.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just feel like, so that I lost a game where he had double
Magus of the Moon.
Yeah, and I have my 2 green now because I've Asuvad my other forest, and I had a Dismember, but he had the second one, and it just, I could never find a second removal spell, and even if I found my Engineer Explosives, I couldn't pop it for 3 because I just didn't have enough colored
mana. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was good in this situation, but I feel like most decks have removal that you kind of wanted in as well. Like, what is Magus of the Moon better than, like, the mirror match?
I guess it would have to be...
Or a Death Shadow deck where you can get it out and then does Death Shadow play any basics? Yeah. Death Shadow plays one swamp, one island.
And then if you're running the 4-color, you play the forest so that you can traverse for other basics.
Yeah, so I don't really get it. Maybe
it's
run
an
the
Abzan matchup. I mean, is that what we're going with?
Yeah, I don't know, but you still have removal, and Abzan definitely has basics.
Definitely has basics.
I don't know. Maybe it is the right play. I thought it seemed weird. I'd never seen it before, and especially a 2 of. He might have even had more. Yeah. He kept the hand based on that card for sure because he didn't do anything the first 3 turns, basically.
Right.
But anyways, that's enough about us and what we did. Let's break it down with some news and some cool things that just came out. How about this? HasCon promos. They came out.
They did come out.
They came out. HasCon, man. What are they, $700 to go to this thing? This crazy HasCon in the back of somebody's backyard and wherever it is. Where is it at? It's in some weird place. Sorry to those people who are from there. Where's HasCon?
I can't remember where HasCon's at this year, but we talked about it in one of our podcasts.
That never made it to air, I don't think.
That never made it to air.
HasCon is in...
Oh, it's in Providence, Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. I knew it was in one of those tiny... so, good joke. Or you guys should just watch Arthur. Like, Rhode Island could kick the crap out of it in war. But, okay. So, it's in Providence, Rhode Island. And you're getting this cool box set promo if you go. And the promos are really cool, but they're silver bordered, I think, in... the fact that it's just kind of a fun thing, but it's really promoting their other products. You want to break us down what they are, buddy?
Oh, yeah, I can do that. So it's cool that there are the 3 cards that I find funny, and it also relate back to their products. So the first one is the Sword of Dungeons and Dragons, which is great.
This card looks really cool.
And the card looks cool. Like, they really nailed on this one. It's just a cool artifact that you can have fun and play with. The next one is the Grimlock Dinobot Leader.
All right, I saw the other side of this where it transforms. It's super awesome. The other side is really cool. If you guys can check out those pictures on Wizards Twitter, I'm pretty sure. I also tweeted them out.
Yes. So you can also check out our Twitter, which is just a cool thing. Like, I'm glad they're doing it. It's also pretty funny because, we're about to go to Ixalan. So, haha.
Oh, yeah.
Little double entendre there.
But he's also an Autobot.
He's also an Autobot, but he's a Dinobot.
Yeah.
And we're about to go see some dinosaurs.
Well, we should probably say what these do, though. Sword of Dungeons and Dragons. Let's break down what it does real quick.
Okay.
Equipped creature it's a 3-drop artifact, equipment, mythic, weird set, Hascon promo set. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from rogues and from clerics. And whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a 4/4 gold dragon creature token with flying and roll a d20. If you roll a 20, repeat this process. Equip 2. So it's like a classic sword making dragons. It's really cool. The art on the sword looks awesome.
Yeah.
I wish this was like the golden dragon behind it is a little cheese ball, but it looks like one of the swords. You know, it's got its flair. Then Grimlock Dinobite Leader. Go ahead and read what that bad boy does.
What's a Naya? It's one colorless, a red, a green, and a white, and it's a legendary artifact creature. It's a Autobot. And dinosaurs, vehicles, and other Transformers creatures you control get +2/+0. And for 2 mana, convert a Transformer toy you own into other mode. Grimlock Dinobot Leader becomes Grimlock Ferocious King.
Do you have the stats on that one?
It is a 4/4. I don't have the back of it, but I know that it's pretty sweet art. I have seen the art. That's all I got.
Where is... Hold on, we can find this for you guys.
We have the internet.
All right, you go ahead and go to the last one, which is Nerf War, and I will find the backside of the other one. I know it's on there.
All right. Nerf War is a 3 colorless, a blue, and a red.
Tight.
And it's kind of cool. Yeah, this could be my favorite as well. Fire a Nerf blaster until empty at target library from at least 2 meters away. For each card knocked off their library, put it into its owner's graveyard, and Nerf War deals half a damage to that player.
It's funny to see like what Wizards chose to go with for distance as well for the measurement.
Yeah.
They went with meters. I guess there's more countries obviously that use metric, but it's funny that they go with meters instead of being like from 2 feet away or from a couple paces. I think paces might have been cool.
Paces
as
would have
like
been
a
cool.
kind of a ode to, I don't know, an old duel or a
Right.
gun, 50 paces would be really far.
50 paces is a lot.
I don't think you should probably do that.
Yeah,
All
10
right.
paces.
10
is probably
paces,
fine.
2 paces, whatever, some paces. All right, I found out the back. Grimlock, Ferocious King, legendary artifact creature, dinosaur. He is no longer an Autobot. And he's got trample, he's an 8/8, and 2 generic. You can convert transform toy you own to its other mode. Grimlock then becomes Grimlock, the Dinobot Leader again. Cool card. Cool.
Cool card.
I like Magic. I like these cards. Obviously, these are not cards that you can play with in, any sort of. You can play it in silver bordered commander, or you can play it in some sort of weird whatever you want to make. I actually heard about some guys in Japan who only play unset commander. Isn't that crazy?
That is a little crazy.
That would be a weird. They just do it for fun, but they all have unset commanders. But I feel like you would run out of cards. There's not that many.
Right.
But I watched a video of them, and they're like playing under the table. They're throwing stuff. I mean, they look like they were having a blast. Maybe if that was how all commander was, I'd probably want to play that too. That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like non-spiky commander. But, and then keep my spikiness for the other formats, guys. All right, so those are the previews, the Hascon reviews. I will say this though. To get this Ultimate Fan Bundle and get these cards, it's going to be $600. What do you think these cards' value will be?
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like what?
Yeah.
You get 3 cards. It comes in this nice little display case. I don't know though. $600 for a ticket. Now that includes your entrance and I think the whole weekend. I mean, it has to be the whole weekend, but $600 is a lot, guys.
I bet those cards would be every bit of $200.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, have you ever seen the price on the Christmas promos that shops get?
Those are crazy, though. Those aren't just for people going. Right?
I mean,
yeah, that's true. They get really high.
They get really high.
What was the last one? The Stalking Tiger? Mm-hmm. That was a pretty cool one. So let's just go ahead and break down, though, what the super fan thing gets you.
Okay.
Including getting these promotional cards, which are really cool, and you might be able to resell those for easy. You get 2 entries into Iconic Masters Advanced Release events, which there you go. There's what if those are $30. If a normal draft would be about $30.
Yeah.
Are they advanced release events, are they going to be drafts or are they going to be sealed events? So that might be a lot of money right there. That might be like $200 out of your thing. Plus your promotional cards. You get one entry into the Magic the Gathering 25th anniversary party, featuring all the Ixalan previews. I don't know what that party's going to be like. I don't know if it's like free drinks, open bar. That would be cool. You know, maybe it's just little tiny wiener dogs, you know, little snack sausages. Yeah. Maybe that's all you get. I don't know, but Nate would probably like the snack sausages.
I would.
Maybe it's all you can eat wings, and Nate would go freaking bananas.
Oh, yeah.
And then he would be like, yeah, let's go. Maybe. Oh, you also do get a goodie bag, including 6 booster packs, Ultra Pro merchandise, HasCon merchandise, and more. So I guess you're getting some swag here. Entry to one VIP-only autograph session with Mark Rosewater, Alexei Bricklaw, who Alexei Bricklaw did some famous art he did. Siege Rhino?
Siege Rhino, yep.
Am I wrong? We should look that up. Tyler Jacobson and more. Access to VIP lounge that have comfy chairs, charging stations, light snacks, water, and more. I love how they like promote the VIP lounge with comfy chairs to Magic players. Right. I feel like it's such an easy way to be like, dude, have you been at a tournament all day? Like, get on to this comfy chair. You get reserve seat for Magic the Gathering 25th anniversary panel. You get access to special VIP early lineup for panels, and you get a guaranteed reserve main panel seat. When is this again? HasCon is September 8th through 10th, guys. Okay. I feel like we should have a representative of our podcast there filming and just seeing, since it's the first year, maybe we'll make a drive up there. And
that sounds good. That sounds like a nice drive.
Yeah, I want to play in this Iconic Masters thing anyways, because you never know how cool that could be. But that's enough about HasCon. I think that we might try and start talking about getting a representative over from our podcast to talk about it, just so people know for the future.
Yeah. And it could be really cool.
It could be awesome. I'm not a huge fan of everything else Wizards, but I wouldn't hate trying Dungeons and Dragons, and I've never played it, but that might be the perfect place to do it.
Right.
All right, so it's time to get into the serious news. You ready for serious news, man? Pro Tour news.
For serious.
Okay, how do we start this news off? Let's talk about I don't even know where to start. Ramanap ruined Magic. No, I'm just kidding. I'm actually really happy there was a lot of blue or red decks there. Ramanap Red took the whole thing down. It actually put how many? 1, 2, 3, 4
copies?
5 copies?
5
in the top 8. Let's see. The only other thing we had was Black Red Aggro, which was basically Ramanap Red.
Yeah.
Mono Black Zombies and Green Red Constrictor. Or Black Green Constrictor. Yeah. I don't know why I said that. So, 5 copies. And almost 6. This Black Red Aggro deck is very similar, and we'll talk about the top 8 decks right now. Paulo Vitor Damaderosa. This was his 11th top 8, I think. 11th Pro Tour top 8. First win.
First win, yes.
Yes, first win, and he just kind of crushed it, man. He even mulliganed to Oblivion in some games, I think. Like. He was just like he kept his composure so well. I thought watching him play was really awesome. It was really impressive. He was playing a 4 Shock, 4 Abrade, 2 Chandra Torch of Defiance, 3 Hazaret, 4 Oncrop, 3 Carry Zev, 4 Earthshaker Kinra, 4 Village Messenger, 4 Vulcanwrath Gorger, and 4 Bomat Courier. And I think the story of this red deck was and 24 lands, which I think is important because that is a lot more than a normal standard mono red aggro deck plays,
Yeah.
They're doing this because they're playing a lot of deserts and they're playing utility lands. And the name of the deck is Ramanap Ruins because this deck has extra reach through their lands. You've got 4 deserts that come into play and deal a damage to target opponent or target player. They've got 2 lands that exile a graveyard, which is going to help against some of those decks we were talking about before, the U White, Godfarer's Gift, whatever. And then the Ruins deals 2 damage to opponent by sacrificing things. So you've got so many ways to go over the top in the late game if you get kind of held up. And there's so many things that have falter effects in this deck that you're just smashing face, and then they finally kind of stabilize, and now you're just chunking things to Hazaret or deserting them out. In his sideboard, he was doing some interesting things. Chandra's Defeat, which was a way to deal with Chandra, obviously, and all these other red decks. I think this was 100% the deck going into this tournament. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, it felt like most pros, even when Sam Black is playing it, you know that it's like, okay, the deck is just really good. You got to play it. It was level 1 deck, too, which is so weird because it's already been such a popular deck on Magic Online. But he had Sand Strangler in his sideboard, which I thought was pretty cool. This card, I played with it in draft quite a bit, and it's an awesome card. It's a 4-mana 3/3, but when it enters the battlefield, if you control a desert or there's a desert in your graveyard, you may have Sand Strangler deal 3 damage to target creature. So it just comes in, pops one of their blockers in the mono red matchup. It seems nice, and then smashes your face. Glorybringer, we've talked about Glorybringer. I mean,
it's good. Seems good.
Savage Alliance, which is pretty sweet. Pia, and then the Aether Sphere Harvester seemed really good in this deck, like having that little bit of life game. But I think the craziest thing is like if you look at how many copies just crushed, 6/4 or better. There's some 10-0s. I mean, it's just a nutty. Like the deck performs so well. And once we get through all this, we might even bring up, did the fact that they're only releasing 5 decks, per day now, actually help slow this format down anymore? Or, it feels kind of solved already. But solved is a harsh term because I think if this mono red deck is a thing to be attacking in the format, we're going to find a lot of decks that can beat it. Blue red can beat the deck.
Yeah.
You just can't stumble against it.
I also think that solved isn't the right word because I think we've talked about before, whenever a new set comes out, a lot of people migrate towards the mono red. So maybe the format isn't solved at all and we haven't found the true great deck yet because we're only getting 5 decks a day.
And the truth is, though, that, these Pro Tours did quite a bit of testing. The truth is, though, I think it's just good to have an aggressive, cheap, mono-colored deck. Like, I think when mono red is good in a format, the format is usually good.
Yeah.
I agree that having a spot, like, you're right, it might not be solved because it's going to change because we're going to find a deck that beats this because we know this is the deck to beat right now.
Yeah.
And then after that, something else will come around to beat that, and then mono red will come back because it'll crush the deck that beats the mid-range deck. So speaking of mid-range decks, number 2, Samuel Pardee. Why don't you break this deck down? Because you were rooting for old Sammy Pardee, weren't you?
I do like Sam Pardee. Let me find it. Actually.
Oh gosh, he's so not prepared, guys.
I'm not prepared.
Black-Green Constrictor by Samuel Pardee, who got second.
I was rooting for him in the finals. I really thought that he could pull it off. The deck got underneath him a few times. Just had some okay hands, and I don't think that when you're playing mono red you can have okay hands. I did like a few of his card choices. Obviously he was running the Traverse package and Walking Ballistic Grim Player, stuff like that, all cards I like. He was going with 2 Grass, 4 Fatal Push, and 2 Dissenter's Deliverance.
Nice.
And it just felt good. And I like the Dissenter's Deliverance. I think there's a lot of targets out there. It's kind of like the green Abrade. For those who don't know, it's a colorless and a green, and it's an instant destroy target artifact. You can also cycle it for a green.
I think that's the important part.
I think it's the important part because you can pretty much tell when it's going to be good, and when it's going to be a cycling card, and I think it's one of those easy cards to throw away at times. I also liked he was running 3 Tireless Trackers and a Rishkar. I mean,
I like the choice to move to Tireless Tracker over the Rishkar.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that split a lot better. It was kind of hard to watch him in the finals sometimes. He did pull out a couple games, but it was rough.
Yeah, but he had to play against a lot of it. What's funny though is he played against the only non-red deck in the first round of the top 8. He played against mono black zombies, but we'll get down to that. So Sam Pardee, congratulations, man, good job. We got Samuel Black playing Ramanap Red. Now I watched him play also Sam Pardee, the Battle of the Sams, and man, he had some he had some bad luck in some of those games. He had, I think he played well. I checked him out on Twitter afterwards, and he was obviously happy just to make a top 8, but he definitely had some rough draws.
Yeah.
He mulliganed to 4 in the top 8. He mulliganed to 5, I think, the game before. He was hurting. The only difference in his deck is that he's running 4 Incendiary Flows, 2 Collective Defiance, and 3 Cartouche Zeals. So he had a few more spaces because he was only playing 21 lands, and I think it came back and bit him in the end.
Well, he also cut a braid. He had no abrades in the
no
main board.
abrades in the main
4
deck.
in the side, but no in the main deck. I'm not sure how I feel about this. How do you feel about the cartouches?
I think the cartouche is good if you're playing against. I don't know. It's a good card. I think the problem though is that because you're cutting them a lot of times. I think the problem though is that when you change your deck after your first game and you go bigger, and you only are running 21 lands plus 2 in the sideboard to make it up to 23 when the other decks are already running 24. I mean, he even said in coverage that he did not play test with his deck enough and really wished he would have been running more lands.
Well, I think that he was also running no Chandra Torch of Defiance in the main board.
Right. He was a little bit more lean.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of that, I don't think, because I think once they get you out of the early game, you're kind of vulnerable. And I think I think the other red decks had Chandra there as something to fall on to.
Well, he's running the flows. He's running the extra burn, right?
Yeah.
So he's got the Collective Defiance and the flows for that extra push at the end. He's got a little extra girth. I don't think girth is the right thing because he's the tiniest person ever. But I agree with you. I want something super powerful to just come in and clean the game up.
Yeah.
And Chandra seems like that. But Sam Black, I can't say anything bad about this guy. He makes a lot of great decks. But if he's picking a mono red deck, that means that this deck is pretty good in the format.
Yeah.
So in fourth, also was Wing Chun Yam. This dude was also playing Ramanap Red. What can I say? What was he doing that was any different? Homie's got 23 main deck lands. He's playing a Seagate Wreckage as one of his colorless. He's playing the 4 Collective Defiance, 4 Incendiary Flows, and 4 Shocks. So he's really on that burn package.
Well, and you got to think that the big difference in his deck is that he's also running the 3 Hazarets mainboarded.
All of those are.
Yeah, are they?
Yeah,
are they all on 3?
I think that was basically the big change. Like the big change from what you saw online to now is that everyone was running Hazaret, and Hazaret seemed to be like the best thing that was happening.
Yeah.
The card though that I think you mean though is Soulscar Mage. He's running Soulscar Mages over Village Messengers. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have Village Messengers, right?
No.
There's so many mono red decks. It's hard to keep them all.
Track. No.
Yeah, no Village Messengers. Instead, he's running Soulscar Mage. Now, I think why he's opting to do this is because he's playing extra spells. So the prowess is really good. But the thing I was wondering about is with Soulscar Mage out, this happened in the finals at one point, and he actually lost, or not finals, but in the top 8, he lost Apollo because he Incendiary Flows, which says when it deals 3 damage to an opponent or a player, creature or player, if that creature was to die, exile it instead. But he had a Soulscar Mage out, and he smashed the Earthshaker Kinra that Paulo had. Now, Paulo put it in the exile, and the judge stopped the game, came back over, and explained that Soulscar Mage's replacement effect of dealing damage and -1/-1 counters actually takes effect, and so the Kinra just goes to the graveyard. Now, he already had some bad draws and stuff. I think he was just flooding out real bad, but that ended up winning Paulo the game because it never exiled. So he got to unearth it, or not unearth, the new unearth, what is it called? Eternalize it and swing in for lethal. But I was thinking about this. Hazaret seemed to be the biggest problem for these decks. So if you have a Soulscar Mage out, the only way any other red deck could remove a Hazaret is with Soulscar Mage out and hitting them with a Collective Defiance.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool tech for going forward, I think, because everyone was talking about how Hazaret was like basically the hardest thing to deal with. It's the hardest permanent on the battlefield, and it was dealing so much damage, and it almost came down in these red mirrors, whoever hit Hazaret first.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That may be something to look at going forward to see which one's better.
I do like that. He's got the 3 magma sprays in the side.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of
He's got a lot of ways
removal
to exile things too, because I think that the Eternalize on, I just think Earthshaker Kinra kind of made the deck really good.
Yeah.
You know, that was the big pickup they got.
Yeah.
Hazaret was already out. Most of these cards were already out, but Abrade, was obviously a good pickup. So then we go into black-red aggro. Now, this is more of a deck in my style of play. I think this is what I like the most. The only thing I'm not 100% sure about is this Amit, but he's a 5/5 for 3. So this is 4 Bomat Courier, 4 Falcon Wrath Gorgers, 2 Soulscar Mage, which I like the 2 of maybe there. 4 Earthshaker Kinra, 2 Carry Zev, 4 Amit the Eternal, which if you don't remember or know, it's got Afflict 3, which the Afflict is pretty cool. So it kind of puts a clock on him either way. But whenever an opponent casts a spell, he gets a -1/-1 counter. But whenever he does damage to a player, you get to take one of those off. He's running 2 main deck Eldrazi Obligators, which I think is sweet. Especially when somebody is like the ramp decks. I don't know how popular the ramp decks were, but they finally get out their big fatty and you're just like, obligate it and smash your face.
Yep.
3 Hazarets, which is just kind of the run. I think it's like standard now. And he's running 2 Incendiary Flows, 3 Cuts, 4 Collective Brutality, or 3 Collective Brutalities and 4 Shocks. This is cool because the Collective Brutality's got to be really good.
Yeah.
Right? It clears his hand out for Hazaret. It gains him life. It takes away one of their shocks, and it kills one of their creatures, like their Bomat Carrier or whatever. 2 of them can actually kill a Hazaret, which would be kind of bad if you had to do that. But then the Cut to Ribbons is cool because he's got that after effect, since he's running 23 lands, but he's got that after of, burn you out, do a little life drain.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about this deck?
I think that the Cut to Ribbons is probably my favorite part about it. Honestly,
yeah, I think it's
cool. The fact that you get a mana dump after you can kill a creature is pretty good.
Yeah, it's just that little extra reach late game that might be nice. I like this deck a lot. I like this deck a whole lot. He also is opting out of Abrades in the main board, but he's got 3 in the side. He's got that big package of Glorybringer, a 4th Hazaret, Chandra, the Firebird, another Obligator, and he plays 2 extra lands in the sideboard that he can bring in. Blazing Volley, though, is probably my favorite sideboard card. He's got the 1 mana deal 1 damage to each creature your opponent controls.
Yeah.
So just wipe their board sometimes for 1. All right, cool. Let's see. What else do we have here? That was Black-Red Aggro, and that was Shintaro Kurata. In 8th place, we've got Yusaki Sasabe. I think I'm saying that right. I'm not 100% sure. But this was his first Pro Tour.
And I like his deck choice.
And he top 8'd.
Yeah, I like his deck choice.
The only thing real different, we'll tell you the deck, is Mono Black Zombies. The only thing real different is he's playing main deck Kalitas. That's probably because of all the Mono Red running around. Kalitas seems really good. There's not a lot. There's no Metallic Mimics. This is just Crypt Breaker into Dread Wanderer into Relentless Dead, Digraph Colossus, Lord of the Accursed. He's got Dark Salvations, Fatal Push, and Grasp of Darkness. He's only running 2 Liliana's Masteries, but these deserts are what to talk about. These deserts made it into every color. Every color of desert is being played at this point. You've got your Cycling Desert. You've got this one, the If Near Deadlands, which gives creatures -1/-1 counters. And then he also has the Westvale Abbeys in this mono black because you know how that just goes wild every once in a while. Scrap Heap Scroungers in the sideboard. I think it's a great deck.
Yeah, I think I like this deck a lot.
I'm kind of surprised this deck isn't a little more popular, but if you look at all the decks that did well, quite a few mono black zombies, did well. There's some 9-1s, 8-2s, a lot of mono black zombies out there. So I think even though no one really talked about it, it was kind of the deck. It was the deck of last day, the old deck du jour. This seems good, to play again.
Oh, for sure.
Let's see. We'll just talk about some cool decks. We have to finish out the top 8. We also had Felix Leong, and he is running. I mean, it's another one. It's a 23 land, Ramanap Red, and then also Seth Manfield, who had a great. I think he was undefeated day 1. It was just him and Paulo, and he had a great tournament, and he wasn't able to kind of come out of it at the end. I think he had some mulligan troubles as well. But also, great job to him. He is another 8th place. You see any cool decks, though? Maybe some weird decks or decks that did well that weren't really the story of the tournament, but had Mardu Vehicles had a couple decks that did like an 8-win. Tons of red, man. Black Green Constrictor, though, seems like it's definitely a viable deck.
Mm-hmm. There's a cool, going back to vehicles, there's a cool 4-color vehicles deck. I think that splashing blue lets them perhaps stay in the game against some of the decks they had troubles with. They get Essence Scatter, Negate, stuff like that.
Right.
Glint S Crane, stuff, I was a little sad not to see more blue-red. I thought blue-red had a pretty good matchup against the mono-red decks. But you also run into the hands where you're drawing cards and not defending yourself, so it just kind of hurts you, which is also why I went up to 4 of the Koziliks. But yeah, I think that, Standard has now shaken up to where we know the basic archetypes.
What about this deck? This is kind of a cool deck that I see. This deck went 7-3. It was played by Scott Lipp. He is playing mono white Eldrazi, right? This is kind of cool, huh? Mm-hmm. So what we didn't really talk about is all these new lands, all these deserts are really making Eldrazi have a resurgence because we finally have colorless mana after the Pain lands rotated. Mm-hmm. So now we have ways to cast these things again. So he's got, I forgot Spawning Bed was still in the format. That's crazy. Spawning Bed is in his deck. He's got the Shafet Dunes, which he taps for a colorless, or he can pay 1 life and make a white. He could also pay 4, sacrifice a desert, and his creatures get +1/+1 until end of turn. He's running a couple Aether Hubs, but he's got the Scavenger Ground that exiles all cards from graveyards if you sacrifice a desert. I've been playing against that card online some. It's very annoying. But, he's just playing kind of control. He's got Gideons and Archangels in here, Deccan Stones, Sky Sovereign Council Flagship, which is awesome. But then he's just running Displacer, Matter Reshaper, Thought Not Seer, and seems tight. 2 Glory-bound Initiates.
Archangel Avacyn. That seems good.
The one thing I think is kind of funny that he doesn't run is Reality Smasher.
I think at that point you have to choose a little bit of what your 5-drop is going to be, and I think Archangel Avacyn's probably a better 5-drop in the format that we have now.
Right. I just think it's kind of funny. It's like the card that you always think of, but this seems like a little bit less of an aggressive deck. It looks like it can beat you down pretty good too, but more of a, I don't know, go a little bit wide. Displacing the Avacyn Archangel is pretty awesome too.
Yeah, it is.
Where are some other cool decks? There was a cool deck I saw. What do you think about there weren't a whole lot of red-green ramp decks, but what do you think about that deck? Do you think it just it's just going to be too hard to beat the mono-red, or?
I think it's just slow. Yeah, it takes a while for it to really get its engine going. I think the deck is super good. I like cards like World Breaker and Thought Knot, and, Ulamog is still a very powerful card, but you're talking about 4, 7, and 10 drops that just don't live that long. And I know that a lot of people are on the Hour of Promise plan, and that card is just kind of slow. And I think that's the same reason why Blue-Red didn't see as much, showing this weekend as what I thought it would. An Hour of Devastation is just too slow. You're talking about 5 drops in a format where you're dead on turn 4.
Right.
You don't even get to cast them. And I know that Green-Red Ramp has a little bit of a, ramp aspect to it, but they, the mono red decks are also running ways to kill your creatures.
Yeah.
And really get ahead of you in that way. And so I think that although the deck is good and has potential, it's also not great against the format that we're in right now.
Yeah, I really like the deck too. It's kind of a bummer. I've always liked kind of big mana strategies, and it seems like we actually have a good one, but mono red seems like it can get underneath it a little too much. I know they're playing like multiple Sweltering Suns and also Kozilek's Returns, like you were saying. But here's a cool one: Blue-Black God Pharaoh's Gift. Finally, a God Pharaoh gift. Now it's not blue-black; it's really blue-red. It's mostly blue, but we've got Walking Ballistas, which Insolent Neonates, Champion of Wits, Curator of Mysteries, Hollow One, and then one of the big reanimate targets is Marionette Master, which you probably don't know too much about what this is. It is 4 generic and 2 black mana. It has Fabricate 3, which was the mechanic where whenever it comes into play, you can either put that many servos out or give it that many +1/+1 counters. It says whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. So it's going to come in as a 4/4. You make those servos. Every time one of those servos dies, you're losing 4. Pretty sweet. It's got Striped Riverwinder and Metalwork Colossus. Yeah, 10/10. Sack some artifacts, kill you. This deck's got a lot of things going on. Plus, it gets to run Cathartic Reunion to cast super, super cheap hollow ones. You can sack your hollow ones that cost 5 to get back your Metalwork Colossuses. You've got Gate to the Afterlife and the God Pharaoh's Gift package. I just think this deck looks fun.
It does look fun. I agree with that.
It's got some wild stuff going on. In the sideboard, it's got a Drakehaven sideboard plan. I don't know if that's necessary. I don't know. I can't imagine this deck. I feel like this is a deck I look at and I almost have to be like, I have to play it. I can't even.
The sideboard is what really gets you questioning a little bit.
Like what he planned on playing against?
Yeah.
I mean, he does have 4 Chandra's Defeat in the sideboard, so he's ready to kill those red creatures.
He knew the Chandra's Defeat, but I mean the 3 Drakehavens and only 2 Abrades in the side,
and just 1 sweeper
and 1 sweeper. It seems like a weird mix. I mean, I would have thought the Sweltering Suns would have got a higher number out of the sideboard if you're not running that many main board.
He's only running 20 lands too, which I guess he's churning through his deck, but that scares me in a deck where I'm still trying to cast like potentially a 7-drop.
Yeah.
Now a lot of his things cycle, which most of his stuff cycles, and he probably isn't using that much mana to begin with, honestly. And that's why he's only playing the 1 God Pharaoh's Gift. This deck is sweet though. I want to play it. I think this looks even more fun than the blue-white version that I'm playing currently, which is a blast.
Yeah.
Another deck, one last deck I kind of want to talk about is the Green-Red Pummeler deck. Now, I know everybody knows about this deck, but there's 2 versions of Pummeler that showed up. There was a Green-Black version, which I want to play now very badly because of Dream Stealer. That card, it seems awesome in a pump deck. Make them discard their hand on turn 4. And also Green-Red Pummeler. Hugh Jensen was playing Green-Red Pummeler. It's like standard infect, you know. It's a deck that can kill you out of anywhere. You never feel safe. It's a deck that plays fling. I mean, I think this is cool. I think you're a brave person to bring this style of strategy to a pro tour, though.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think that although this deck is fun and has its moments where you can just blow the other person out, I think it's also very risky playing a lot of top tier decks at the Pro Tour with a lot of good players who aren't going to misplay.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a match. You just wait. So it's an aggressive deck, but it doesn't attack. Like I was watching Reed Duke play against Huey Jensen, and Huey Jensen just started playing Pummelers, started playing his Voltaic Brawlers, started playing his cards out, didn't ever attack, just waited for Reed Duke to make some sort of move. It was kind of this weird boxing match where they were just sticking moving, and then he just killed him out of nowhere. You know, he waited until the cards in his hand were like Blossoming Defense plus the Double Strike plus it was awesome. It was really cool to watch somebody, especially 2 very skilled players, just maneuver around each other, and each one of them knew, like, if they draw a certain card, the other person draws a certain card, you know, this game could just be over, but I could just have the blowout double kill spell or whatever. You know, you have to play really careful. I think one thing that we didn't talk about is, and again, this deck picked up something great, the deserts. This one got Hash Up Oasis, which is 1 and 2 green, sacrifice a desert, target creature gets +3/+3, which means you even have a land that turns your Pummeler into just something crazy.
And I think I love the deck. It's a little slow, and I could understand why it would lose to the mono red decks. But I think it's also a very good strategy against some of the control decks and some of the other decks. I mean, if I pull tomorrow or whatever, and you just fling and kill me, I'm dead.
Yeah, it's rough. So some of the kind of duds for the tournament, though, obviously, like we were saying, red was what just killed it. But white blue God Pharaoh's Gift, you know, it didn't have the showing that I thought it was going to have, and Blue-White Monument was just really, I mean, it only had like one deck that had 6 wins.
Yeah.
So we were kind of off on that. We're a little bit off. But some of the other things to talk about that happened. The Rookie of the Year was announced. Ben Hall.
Congrats, Ben Hall.
Yeah, he's our Rookie of the Year. I'd like to be Rookie of the Year. I got to make it to the Pro Tour first.
You do.
We also had Martin Yuza. Martin Yuza was announced the Draft Master.
That's quite the title.
Yeah, I mean, that's serious. And that was actually a pretty close race. He was going against Travis Wu, who we all remember Travis Wu. Mm-hmm. And Travis Wu, he was ahead going into this tournament. And he kind of had a bad day one. I think he went 1-2 to start it off, and Yuza was able to pull it out. Also, Josh Sutter-Layton and Martin Yuza were also announced into the Pro Tour Hall of Fame 2017 class. Congratulations to both of them.
Major congratulations.
Sebastian Pazzo from Argentina clinched Constructed Master. Now, I did not see this, but apparently he had a 7-card Bomat Courier. He drew 7 cards off him. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I can't believe somebody let it last that long and be able to do that. Yeah, that's about it, man. I enjoyed watching the tournament. Did you like it?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I always like trying to watch some of the upper scale events, GPs, Pro Tours, stuff like that, just to get an insight on how it's being played and how to play a deck better. I always try and follow some of the top decks just to see what pros are really into. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy to think that some of these guys switched to this deck not 2 weeks ago and probably put in hundreds of games.
Oh yeah. And the draft portion to me is what really sets these guys apart from the average player.
Yeah.
The fact that these guys are, limited is hard. And anybody who says limited is luck, or, it helps to open some things. It helps for things to go right for you. But these guys who are doing it, Martin uses a draft master for a reason, because he's really good at limited. I mean, he's really good at the game. He understands core Magic and understands the way to build a deck, out of what he's given, and understands the way to draft and read tables, which to me is a skill that I need to work on and would like to work on. It's just crazy. So, but Red was definitely just the winner of this tournament. I mean,
the overall winner had to be just mono red.
I will say this: I bought 28 Bomat Couriers the other day.
How's that feel?
Feels okay. I made like $28.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. They were like 40 cents. So they're like $2 or $3 now. So I'll probably be able to buy list them. That's a little MTG finance for you right there. But you can't do it now. Just do it next time.
That's too late.
Yeah, man, that was Pro Tour. Oh, also the only other thing that was kind of stunk was that it was in Japan, and so watching it live was very hard.
Yes, it was.
But the replay just started the next morning, and it was almost like watching normal. You just couldn't look at Twitter if you didn't want any spoilers.
Yeah.
So what's coming up? What's coming up this week? We've got GP Minneapolis. If you want to try out your hand at ramming up redding some people, you want to ruin some people to death, you want to ruin some people's days, or you want to just play the mirror all day because the deck is still relatively cheap, go to GP Minneapolis. Try to start fighting for bronze. Try to start getting on that Pro Tour. Why don't you get some pro points for you? We will not be at GP Minneapolis. That is this weekend, though, at August 4th. There's also SCG Syracuse, just a little bit out of our range. That is a modern tournament. We'll just talk about a little bit. What do you think you would expect to see at both of these tournaments? Let's start off with, since we're already on standard for so long, what GP Minneapolis, what do you expect?
I mean, you got to expect red. Just more and more red. I would also expect to see, I think green-black had a really good game against it. So I think just some modified strategies with the green-black, I think, is what you're going to see the most of as far as trying to combat it. But it's just going to be a lot of red.
See, that's what I'm excited about, because now we're going to really know. I love the GP after the Pro Tour, because then we really see, like, here's your metagame, and the deck to beat is red.
Yeah.
And now we get to see people a week later who are watching the Pro Tour, and they were already building decks in their head. They're already like, how do we beat red? How do we beat red? And I want to see how many people come and find the deck that crushes red, because I will tell you, White Blue God Pharaoh Gift, I always had to find. I mean, I never lost to the red deck mostly.
Right.
But I don't think it's got a great game. I think I just kind of got lucky mostly.
Right.
But there's got to be decks out there that are like, this is just crushing it. I mean, Blue Red Control is pretty good against mono red.
Yeah.
you've got so many sweepers and everything.
It's not bad. I mean, it's one of those things where you could draw the wrong half of your deck and you're just kind of like, well, that happens. Or you can draw, just any side of your deck that has some of your removal and you're like, well, this is easy.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see if Mono Red stays on top or if the metagame is already moving forward and we see a lot of people ready to beat this deck.
Yeah.
Because people hate losing to red or they love playing red.
Oh, for sure.
Second, SCG Syracuse. It's a modern. It's modern. That's cool. We haven't talked about modern in a little bit. I mean, I guess we always talk about modern, but we haven't really had a big modern tournament in a while. We just had that team tournament.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you expect to see there this weekend?
I'm going to go with a blanket statement and say that you're going to see a lot of combo this weekend.
Combo?
I think so, yeah. I think you're going to see Ad Nauseam, Living End, and Storm be the decks that are hot and hard to beat.
What makes you think that?
I think that there's going to be a lot of people, of course, on Death Shadow variants. And so the fastest way, not the fastest way, but the easiest way to kind of kill those people might be through comboing them out somehow. I also think that some reanimator strategies are starting to pop up again.
I could see that. I could also see Blood Moon being a good card.
I could also see Blood Moon.
I could see Blood Moon being having a resurgence this coming weekend. Or mana denial strategies.
Yeah. But I think Ad Nauseam or Living End. One of those two is really good.
My problem is with those decks, though, because I love combo, but with so many decks that are running like 7 hand disruption spells at this point, sometimes combo just feels
bad,
hard to play. It's just, I know I'm going to play against Thoughtseize and Inquisition all day.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll say mine. I think that I do kind of think a combo deck maybe, but I'm going to go with, I think Elves actually is poised to have a good finish. And it's up north. People like playing Elves. I think Elves could be maybe not a top 8 competitor, but I could see at least one copy in the top 16 or top 32 for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to call one copy of Elves at least.
I'll buy that.
I could see it being pretty good. Do you think maybe even with the Vizier? Like, if I'm going to play the Vizier combo in Elves, like, I can only run one, which is nice. But I think to me, that's my favorite way of seeing it at this point.
I like the one of Vizier, and I like the 4 Druid.
Yeah. So, that's what I say. But I also think that, how about this? Is Affinity, its weekend to just get crushed? Or is Affinity still so good and so consistent, or are people still not giving it enough respect that they're going to come and it's going to do great?
The 2 big decks people worry about are Death Shadow and Dredge, and Affinity always seems to squeak in there.
Why are people even worried about Dredge right now? I feel like we haven't even seen a Dredge list come up in so long.
It's just what it is. Graveyard strategies, they get nervous. They don't know how to beat it, so they pack the sideboard hate for Death Shadow and Dredge.
I actually think maybe it may be the exact opposite. It may be that now people are packing for Affinity, like this upcoming tournament, because Affinity keeps doing so well, and now Dredge will have another breakout. Because it's like people don't want to do both. It's like, all right, what am I really going to worry about, the graveyard or artifacts? I can only do one. I mean, there's so many cards in Modern, I can only stick with one.
Right.
I think that's cool. I'm excited to watch some of that. How about you?
I'm super pumped to watch it. I love Modern, so I'll be watching that the most this weekend.
Are you playing in any events this weekend?
We are taking a team to Columbus to go to Comic-Con to play an IQ on Sunday. Cool. So I'll be super excited about that.
I might join in on that trip. If you go, what are you playing?
I'm probably going to play Sun and Moon.
Oh.
I know.
Well, Blood Moon strategies could be good.
Blood Moon strategies could be good.
You just built Jeskai Control. Why are you playing it?
It could be Jeskai Control this weekend. It could be the weekend that I come back with it.
I will probably play either borrow your Affinity deck, or I will play Amulet Titan. And that's why I've been kind of
both of those are same good.
Yeah. So it's time to get down to our winner. We had like 18 new follows for this, which isn't awesome. I mean, it's not bad, though, and we really appreciate those who followed and played the game. We got quite a bit of interaction. We did a random generator, and the winner is... Oh, I forgot his Twitter handle. Sorry.
Bum.
Well,
you got me on the edge of my seat.
I do. Are you excited?
I am excited.
The winner...
I hope it's me.
...is... The XX Tony Bibbs. Not the greatest picks there, Tony Bibbs, but none of us really made. I think all of us went pretty high on Champion of Wits. We all kind of got creatures wrong.
Yeah, we all got creatures wrong.
A braid. I think most people hit a braid that interacted with us. But Tony Bibbs, you won a Chandra Torch of Defiance. So DM me in those Twitters, in that Twitter world. DM me with your information, and we will get that shipped out to you as soon as possible. And you can upload a picture of it, or you can do whatever, and just show the world that we are giving things away. We're gonna have another giveaway in not this week but next week on the podcast. Stay tuned to hear what that's going to be. It should be fun. We're also going to try to get more videos, more content, more things out there for you on the Tilted Play Network. Nate, where can people find you and catch you?
You can catch me on, let's see here. I think the YouTube Tilted Play, I'm going to try and upload some things this week. You can catch me on the Tilted Pod Twitter. I have now synced that to everything I own.
Nice.
So I will be interacting very much with all of you listeners.
Same here. You'll get either one of us.
Yeah, we'll just be, interacting as well. You can also try and find me on MTGO, Start X Riot, or what's more than likely going to happen, I'll be using the Tilted Pod MTGO account, and we'll try and get some footage out there for you guys. And if you see me on there, say hi.
Sweet, man. And I am Seth. You can catch me at Jack Wilds on Twitter, at Jack Wilds on... actually, just go to Tilted Pod. Just anything Tilted Pod, I'm going to be running around on and messing with the accounts. And hit us up at Tilted Pod on Twitter and the Tilted Play Network on YouTube channels. So thank you for listening to this week's edition of Tilted Pod. We'll see you later on this week with a little deck tech section and some modern.
Yeah.
And we out.
Peace.